I didn't get no camera time, dang it. I didn't get no camera time.
Jump in this thing and see what it'll do.
Ready to rock this, bro?
Oh, hell yeah. Welcome back, everybody, to the Daytona stock car build. This would be part 4. If you haven't seen 3, 2, or 1, I suggest you go back and watch that, because this car has come a long way in just the 3 episodes before this one. And you don't want to get cheaped out of all the cool stuff that's happening. And right now, I need to finish the sheet metal work. And so I just retrieved my Woodward Fab bead roller to go with my Woodward Fab shrinker. Another item that I got from the SEMA show like probably 4 or 5 years ago. So I'm trying to narrow it down. I need to focus on the items that would keep me off the track. So, and safety is those. I need to make the rear firewall, the wheel wells. I need to seal up that trans tunnel. And so I'm going to kind of focus on those things right now. I have been getting a lot of suspension parts that showed up, and some of the fabricated stuff that I designed myself and had my buddy cut out is here too. Let the GoPro adjust. There I am. So I got a whole box full of goodies from Speedway Motors. No, they're not a sponsor. I had to pay full price for all that stuff. But you know, this is going to be my new adjustable leaf spring slider adjustable bracket. So I'll get more in depth on that later. When we actually get to the suspension part of the video. I figure there's no reason to work on suspension if we don't have a body to bolt the suspension to. I need to shave this thing off my face. It's getting kind of itchy now, and it was cold there for a minute, so I kept it on, but now that it's actually decent outside, it just needs to go. So I'm gonna start taking some measurements and doing a template and start filling in all this void with some sheet metal, and I might even do like some cool bead rolling to it, just add some 3D depthness to it. See, templates are a lot cheaper to waste. Poster board is a lot cheaper to waste than actual steel. So I'm gonna make as many templates as I can out of this poster board, in which I'm repurposing this because, you know, this is my old roll center poster board. And then so I'm putting flanges off everything, so that way I can spot weld this whole thing together and make it look all cool like race car stuff. And I don't know, I kind of want to put all the bead roll stuff in it too. So templates. All right, I think I got a good starting point. I think this is going to be my biggest piece, and it's out of the way. So it lines up to the roll cage, both sides. Just got to do a little, see, it lines up right there. Just need to do a little bit of stretching up here to get that to come up a little bit. So I'll just throw that in my stretcher, and then that will follow that arch. But I think we're in good shape. Now we can base all the rest of our panels off of this one main piece. Beats the hell out of drilling, huh, Derek?
Yep.
we can start building off that piece. Ta-da! Yeah, you haven't seen my face yet. Cleaned all that bushel off my face. But still working on the 10. Although it is taking me a while, I was able to knock it out just a little bit faster because the cage was centered and the bars were so close to being symmetrically even. Yeah, I got the whole like 70s race car vibe going on with the big bushy sideburns. All right, let's get back in the car. I was able to use the same template from the right side to the left side. So I'm hoping I can use the same template on the top corner over there. But that saved me so much time not having to make a whole nother template for that side. So if this works on the left side as well as it does the right side, that is perfect. And the same template will work. All we're gonna do is extend this little corner down a little bit. But other than that, it will work. And that tiny little notch, I had to add that. This is a tight squeeze. Alrighty guys, check it out. The rear firewall is done. I had mixed emotions about this. I was like, you know, as a resto mod, it looks cool, but I don't know. As like vintage looking race car, it just doesn't, I don't know. It looks out of place. But you know what? It's in, I'm not changing it, it's done. And now I can move on to the trans tunnel. Need to get that thing cut out. Cut it out more, bend some flanges in it, and hopefully I will be done with the trans tunnel. That shouldn't take me too long. I've done enough of those. I haven't done a whole lot of those, and so that took me a minute to do that. But I'm pretty sure I can knock that out quick. But I can't do the back part of the trans tunnel until the engine and transmission are in it. Worst case scenario, we just cardboard it, duct tape it, and shh. I have got my template done for the trans tunnel, and this will get it close enough to where I'm gonna cut this out in steel, and then I'll do my final trimming and all that once it's in the car. But poster board saves the day. It's another day. It got to be towards the end of the day yesterday. I was gonna cut it out, but I'm like, I went inside, hung out, and after done eating, I was like, we'll just come out in the morning and do this. Plus I had to do some editing. So part 3 is coming out today, which today is Wednesday, and by the time you guys see this video, it'll be a week ago. So I worked on that this morning, and now I'm gonna get back to this.
How come you want to strip all the undercoating off?
Because it's weight.
Huh?
It's weight.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
See, that shit's heavy. Hey, Derek. You got the shitty job, huh? Derek's gonna be scraping all the undercoating from the bottom of the car. Ah, that sucks to be you, Derek. I have finished the trans tunnel. Check it out. I could even stuff a 6-speed in this thing now, an 8-speed, but nope, we're sticking with 4. NASCAR Jericho. And if you're wondering what all that noise is, Looking pretty grungy, Derek.
Yeah.
How many times you swept a pile of undercoating up so far?
I'd say about 4 or 5 times.
How many pounds do you think you've thrown in the garbage?
Shit, I'd say probably at least 2 or 3 pounds.
That's it?
I'd say 5.
I was gonna say about 5 pounds of undercoating so far.
Yeah.
And he's, oh, I would say you're what, about halfway done?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Derek got the shit into the stick on that. But the car will be 10 pounds lighter. What is up, everybody? It's the next day. Obviously, the sun's out. It's nice and calm and sunny. It is a freaking beautiful day. And Derek is still down there making... How's it going, Derek? Still down there making... Oh, there he is. You still down there making messes? Shaving more weight off the car? Yeah. I think we need to get you a new wire wheel, dude. I think that one's done.
Oh, I put one on. Just put one on.
So, last night I finished up welding in the main 4-post because Virgil, when he was building this car, if you see those 2 holes in front of that post, see those 2 holes in front of that post, same thing there, those 2 holes, and those 2 holes right there. Well, he had the main 4-point of the cage bolted to the floor pan, which, not knocking the guy, sorry, I know Virgil's watching this, not knocking you, Virgil, but no. So I went ahead and boxed the main 4-point cage to the rockers. So I'm just trying to tie all of the cage to the unibody structure. So not only do we have 1, but we got 2, 3, 4, 5, add the other 5 over there, 10. So now the center of my cage has 10 points tying it to the unibody structure, which is going to make it most gooder. And another thing that needs to be most gooder is my pedal assembly. So here is the pedal assembly that came out of this car. I went ahead and threw this in the blast cabinet for like literally 1 minute because I couldn't see through to my blast cabinet. I just have a Harbor Freight blast cabinet, and the plexiglass, you can't see through it. So I just kind of blindly dusted this thing to take it from this to this. So then we can paint this because it's good enough for a race car. And we need to get the pedals back in the car since the dash is going to come back out of it. So while I pull the dash back out and install my switches and my gauges and everything I need that's going to go to the dash, we can get that all set up so I can bolt it back in. But while it's out, we're going to go ahead and get the pedal assembly back in and run some support braces from the dash bar to the pedal assembly. So just trying to think of everything in stages and try and get stuff done. I'm gonna lighten up my pedals. So I have went ahead and drawed out a quickie design. We're gonna plasma that out. And see, this was an automatic car. So he has an automatic brake pedal here, which is wider. And then what he did is he installed a 4-speed pedal, but he just went ahead and offset it and welded it up. So now it's double wall. See there? Well, we're going to narrow this guy up, plasma that out. We're going to undo the double wall, and then we're going to bring this guy back over so that way the pedals will be closer together, because if I go road racing this car, I don't want to have to be road mapping and trying to find the pedals in the car. So I'm going to get them tighter together. We're going to make them lighter and get it all bolted back in the car, and probably even slap some paint on it and make it all kind of shiny and pretty under the dash for the brake pedals. Just for shits and giggles, let's see where we're starting off with. 5 pounds, 2 ounces. That's a lot of weight for 2 pedals. My petals are done. They are ready to go back into the pedal assembly. I think it was, well, hold on. I believe that was 5.8 before. I can't remember, I should have wrote it down. We have 3.6. So we saved probably over 2 pounds. A lot of work for 2 pounds, but you know what? I'll take it. Now I can bolt it to the pedal assembly, paint it, and slap it in the car. I should wait till this thing is fully done curing, drying, but we're in a little bit of a hurry. So we're gonna go ahead and slap this sucker in. As is. Let's see. Pedal assembly is bolted in, clears my steering column, thankfully, because I didn't really check that, just got lucky. I need to run some support braces, so I'm going to make a template to support it from the dash bar to here, and then I'm going to go diagonal from the dash bar to that bolt hole. That way it'll keep that from going like this, and this one will keep the pedal assembly from going like this. So 2 quick support braces and the pedal assembly donezo. All right, pedal assembly is all braced up. Everything is good. It is rock solid. And I think we are ready to put a master cylinder and a clutch master on the firewall. But to do that, we need parts. And so I had ordered some parts, and you'll never guess where from. Yep, Jegs was cool enough to hook me up on some goodies that I needed for this race car. They know racing's expensive, and on the racer discount, I was able to get my 2-bolt master cylinder adapter, and then my master cylinder, and my clutch master. This is the one we're gonna have to modify to make fit the firewall. It's gonna have to go in the little space right here. I had drilled some holes in my pedal, and so one of those 2 holes, whichever one I decide to choose with mechanical leverage, is going to be the one that goes and give me some good bang shifting action on my 4-speed. So we're going to go ahead and get our master cylinder bolted to the adapter, get it bolted to the firewall, and then figure out what kind of space I've got to deal with to try and make that master fit where I want it to go. Get that top.
Just gotta get the bottom one or the top one on.
Yep. There, now that it's all lathed up, look at that. We got a little bit of wiggle room to allow the motion of the pedal. All right, I'm actually excited to get these welded up to the car. These are my new leaf spring wedge adjusters for the sliders. So this collar is what actually gets welded to the chassis, and then it slips over there, and this will allow the slider to articulate with the leaf spring instead of getting bound up. and it'll adjust my ride height for the wedge. Plus, if this gets damaged, well, I can just unbolt it and bolt a new one on. So nothing's permanently welded. And I'm just waiting for the hardware. I had to order a 3/4 inch fine all thread so that way I can finish making my adjuster. So that'll go in there, and then I'll have like a 1/2 inch hex up top. And then so by turning that, it'll raise or lower this. So that way I can adjust some wedge, ride height, whatever I needs to. My leaf spring slider wedge adjusters are awesome. Check it out. See, they'll articulate, since they're in a round tubing, they'll allow the leaf spring to float with the leaves and not be bound up. And then also, once I get my hardware to show up, I'll be able to, see, look, it telescopes. So we'll be able to get about, I would say safely 4 inches of wedge out of that, which is a lot. That's going to work perfect. So after finishing the pedals, I was looking at the steering column and I'm like, you know what? The steering column needs to go through the firewall, obviously, but we got this giant hole right here, and I'm like, you know what? The steering shaft that I stole out of the other race car out of my place in Arizona, it had a firewall bearing on it. So we're gonna go ahead, I made this guy. This is what we're gonna put our firewall bearing in, and then, like the factory steering column, we're just gonna bolt it right there, and I'll even have a little bit of wiggle room to be able to go up and down with it in case I need to relieve some bind or something. So I'm gonna go ahead and modify this guy so I can put my firewall bearing in it. Warning, if you are a Mopar purist, look away now. I don't want you to cry. I'm a Mopar guy myself, but even I know that the Mopar rear ends ain't gonna work in circle track racing. Even in NASCAR back in the 60s, they didn't run Dana 60s. Those things were built for freaking tanks. And the Mopar rear ends had itty bitty teeny weeny microscopic bearings. This will not work in circle track racing for long periods of time anyway. Is Bolt trying to give you a hard time, Derek? Go ahead and pan down to Bolt right there. Bolt's like, hey, I'm more important, look at me. Okay, back to me. So now the taper bearings are way better than those ball bearings, but in circle track racing there is a crap ton of load, especially on a high bank track, and so this isn't going to work, and I'm not going to run it. And I'm running my good old trusty 9-inch rear end housing. I just got this from Speedway Motors. Wasn't sponsored, paid full retail, but you know, it works and it was cheap, so I got it. I'm running a Ford 9-inch full floated rear end housing. So full floated means your axle right here is not physically part of the wheel flange. This actually floats inside the rear end side to side, but it stops right there. So this is a drive hub. This drive hub then goes to the actual hub, which the actual hub itself has 2 taper bearings in it. I mean, look at the size of this compared to this. There's 2 of these suckers right there. See the difference right there? So this will handle way more load. It's safer, and in a lot of circle track classes that's, you know, higher up, like even street stocks are kind of mandating full floating rear end housings. Now, you can take a Mopar 8 3/4, Bolt, lay down. He keeps giving Derek a hard time. He's like, hey, look at me. You can take a Mopar 8 3/4 rear end housing, and you can cut the bolt flanges off, and you can convert it to a full float housing. But then you're stuck with the Mopar 8 3/4 gears. Bolt. Stop. Lay down. Yes, high bolt. But then you're stuck with the full float, or you're stuck with the Mopar 8 3/4 gears, and try and find a good circle track gear for a Mopar 8 3/4 rear end housing. I mean, they're almost impossible to find now. Back in the day when guys were running them, you could get them from direct connection and all that, but it's a novelty nowadays. They're hard to find. But Mopar or Ford 9-inch stuff, dime a dozen. I've got a couple third members I can just plop in here, and so this is what I'm going to use.
I didn't get no camera time, dang it. I didn't get no camera time. Okay, we'll get you some camera time.
Kitty Popo.
It's starting to look like race car in the back. The rear axle is in the car. Got my weight jacks in place. I got my all thread ordered. These are just temporary, but check it out. It is looking bitchin'. It's starting to look like it's gonna happen. My vision is coming together. Daytona stock car. And of course you can't have stock car without stock car window net, and I wanted the old school like mesh style. So I didn't want the ribbon, I wanted the mesh, because that's more or less what it looked like back in the day. Actually, where's our old window net, Derek? See, here's the old one. That's not legal anymore. If I even stress on this really hard, it's just gonna tear and rip. But I think the closest I can get to this is that mesh style. So I'm just trying to keep it more authentic looking. As much as I want to have one that looks like this, not legal. And see, I don't know if this is legal or not, and I don't even care. Are they really gonna bitch about it? But all the old school window nets, you know, they were fixed on the top, and then they swung up and then flung over on the roof. You know, all the modern race cars, they're fixed on the bottom, and so then they come up and latch. So I want mine to be old school. I want it to be fixed on the top, so then, you know, it will swing and lay on the roof just like the old cup cars. And that's what I'm gonna do. Getting a little bit of a slow start today. Mike Coffee showed up, which bought that coronet from me. So you know how car guys get together, you start bullshitting, and before you know it, 2 hours go by. Well, yeah, that happened. But I was able to get my window net done, and I know some of you guys are gonna be like, oh, that's dumb, why did you put the latch down there? But like I said, I wanted the window net to flip up and on top of the roof like the old school NASCARs did. So when they were done, they opened that up and they flipped it up over the roof. That's how you see all the old pictures of the old NASCARs. And so I wanted the same thing. And so I went ass backwards and mounted my window net like that. That is done. My steering box showed up, which this is a Borgeson steering box. Actually just showed up in the mail today. Reason I went this route is, for one, the box is way lighter than a factory box, and two, it has a tighter ratio. So that's what we're going to do, is use that in my racing car. That wasn't sponsored, paid full price for it, but you know what, it's a good box. I use them, I have them in, yeah, actually all my cars have them. So again, that going in this one. And now that my steering box is bolted in,
I know where that firewall bearing needs to be placed so I can install my aluminum block-off plate that would take place of the original steering column. Isn't that pretty? This is my used NASCAR rear differential gear that I bought, and I got this off Marketplace and had to ship it here. It's got a polished ring gear, it's got all the ARP hardware, it's got the locker. This is some Gucci stuff right here. And I'm gonna use this guy in the Charger. Since we have a 9-inch, I get to use all the used NASCAR stuff. And it's way cheaper. Like, this thing is super light, and it's even lightened on the backside, lightened on the outside. This is going to cut through that thick gear oil like butter. Need to slap it in. But this is a 440 gear, which not really what I want. I bought this gear intended to use in something else, like, you know, that one over there. But since this needs a gear and I have this, I figure we'll use it. One thing I have to note too, this rear end housing from Speedway is not like your typical 9-inch out of a street car. This thing's actually braced up and beefy, so I'm glad I didn't just go get a 9-inch from a street car and then modify it. This thing is way better. Well, since I'm waiting for silicone to set up, I have a little bit of time to make a template to fill my wheel well. Then I can put my hubs and my brakes and all that, because once all that's right here, it's a little harder to get in here to work around. So I might as well do it before I get all of that goodiness on there. But I can't wait to see all my goodiness on there. You would think I never built a race car before. I've built several race cars. Just haven't built one this freaking cool. Winning. And you know you gotta put crusty old 1969 third member nuts on a badass NASCAR gear. Yeah, it's not pretty, but it was quick and it'll pass tech. And when you're in a rush, just gotta get shit done. every morning when I come out and look at this thing, it's like, oh, it's really starting to come together, but it's not coming together fast enough because today is the 7th and we've got to be at Irwindale on the 19th or the 20th. You know, that way we get a practice day. It's really getting down to crunch time, and also my budget is getting really thin now. I mean, I've got a ton of parts that have not showed up yet, and I'm hoping they show up soon because I can't finish the car without my parts. I don't even have my wheels or nothing, and I don't have my bell housing. I don't have clutch discs. I mean, I'm waiting on so much stuff. Oh, speaking of bell housing, I have not introduced you guys to, bam, this is our engine right here. I really don't know anything about it. This is the engine that was going to go in Mike's Daytona, but now Mike wants to put a 426 Hemi in his car because he's a dummy. That's way too much nose weight. And I'm like, hey, I will use this in this to save me time. And even Mike doesn't know anything about this engine except for it's a 340. I mean, it's got an iron intake manifold on it. We have no idea what cylinder heads are on it. Supposedly this has like diamond pistons and, you know, good cam and, you know, all kinds of race goodies, which it looks like it. I mean, we got crossover here. We got, uh-oh. I don't know why that big aluminum plate is welded to the cam cover or the timing chain cover. Water pump housing, I do not know. That is not supposed to be there. I hope this is not going to require some special freaking water pump. Let's finish tearing into this thing, see what other kind of surprises we're gonna get. Oh, dang it. I mean, this is good news and bad news. This engine is going to require a remote oil filter setup. Which, you know, tells me, hey, this was a race motor. But, dang it. I just realized too, I don't have any small block motor mounts. Hi, Bolt. I'm gonna have to make some phone calls. So I need motor mounts. I need a remote oil filter. The water pump, you know what? I'm gonna go grab that water pump to see if it's even gonna bolt to this thing with that plate welded there. Dang it. Of course, just like I thought, the water pump impeller is hitting that freaking plate that they welded in there. I wonder if I can just cut that plate out. Well, that don't look very race car-y. And it's a freaking hydraulic cam? What the f... Look who showed up, it's Skinnerd. What do you think of my racing car, Leonard?
Awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, you're a craftsman.
You've been watching the videos?
All of them? Yep.
Yeah. He just dropped by to scope it out, but little does he know I'm gonna put his ass to work.
Not the first time.
I dug through some of my parts I had left over from Lemonator, which was I don't have a whole lot of small block stuff. I have a lot of big block stuff, but I don't have a whole lot of small block stuff, especially race car small block stuff. But, you know, when I sold Freiburger Lemonator, he didn't get the engine or nothing. So I luckily had an alternator setup, which will bolt right to the timing cover. So like I said, I dug through all my crap. We're gonna end up cutting this plate off so I can put a regular water pump back on it. Oddly enough, this is off of my dad's circle track car, and it has this bracket here, which that's the power steering pump, and just coinky-dink, those two bolt holes line up to this plate. And this is for a small block Chevy, but that is awesome. And I'm going to take advantage of those two bolts, and we are going to put that power steering pump on this engine. So I have an alternator and power steering. This was just the water pump that was off of Lemonator. I got some hardware, and we got some cool valve covers, because these valve covers have no breathers. I mean, they got a hole there, but there's nothing else there. And since this is stock rocker arms, which, okay, found out this has Magnum RT heads on it, which is still a production head. It's I was thinking it might have been W2 heads because of the bolt pattern and everything, but it's not. They're Magnum RT heads, which they made a short run of these, I guess, in the 90s. Here's a problem I have mentioned before. This is 4 3/4 bolt pattern. This is 4 1/2 inch bolt pattern. You might be thinking, well, dumbass, you just ordered the wrong rear axle. No, you can't get full floating hubs in 4 1/2 inch bolt pattern. I tried, I looked. I can get them in 4 3/4. And this is all off the shelf stuff. I didn't want to get some custom high dollar freaking thing when I just want basic circle track shit. And so this was the cheap street stock 9 inch rear end housing assembly that I could get in 4 3/4 bolt pattern. And I found out that through the magic of the interwebs, I found this company right here, Hell's Gate Hot Rods. They make this doohickey that I can bolt to this hub, and then it gives me the bolt pattern I need to re-drill this original hub rotor into a 4 3/4 bolt pattern, and then I can put my race car 5/8 studs that are required to those hubs. Now those hubs, the reason I want to keep them, rotors, they're 1 1/4 wide. I was wrong. So after the original builder of this car contacted me, he's like, that front brake setup is not off of a 73, 74 Charger. That's off of a 71 C body. That's why the rotors are thick. And doing some research, he was right. You know, the C bodies had thicker rotors because there's way more of a heavy girl to slow down, so they need more airflow through those vanes. And the C bodies had bigger rotors. I tried to find some new rotors, not available. So we're gonna go ahead and we're just gonna machine these down. We're gonna get them lathed, and then we're gonna re-drill the bolt pattern, and then I will have heavy duty rotors to go with my heavy duty racing car. Where's drilling? I can tell this is going to be a process.
Yeah, it's hard.
Well, they give you one stud to do the 4 3/4, so it's going to be like,
Oh, you gotta change it?
yeah, bolt down, pull off, rotate, bolt down, pull off, rotate.
It is the most secure way though.
Yeah. I gotta lube up the eccentrics. This thing's been sitting a while.
How long has this car been sitting?
Since 1981.
Holy shit, that's what, 40 some years?
43 years.
That's crazy. That's
Yeah.
longer than you've been alive.
Yeah, I'm 39, so this car's been sitting longer than I've been alive. How old are you, Leonard?
I can't tell. I'm
So-
51.
So this car hasn't been sitting longer than you've been alive.
No.
So I'm gonna go ahead and finish the other rotor. Leonard's gonna put on the upper control arms. That's a simple enough task for a simple man.
Yeah, hey, there's no lie. I'm a simple man. Ain't no lie about that.
Yeah, you're probably wondering why we're putting stock upper control arms back on this car. Well, these are the control arms that came off of this car. This is Virgil's modified right front upper control arm. He had shortened it so he can get more camber out of it. You can see we cleaned it up just a tad bit. Well, I've already got these, and trying to be budget friendly, I'm like, you know what? Virgil did tell me he rebuilt these control arms back in 1981, and which the bushings and everything do look good. The ball joint's good, so we're gonna slap it back on. So we don't know how long this engine's been sitting, so I told Leonard, go ahead and pull all the plugs out. We'll spray the cylinder walls down with PB Blaster and let it soak. So then we can rotate the engine around later, basically doing other things. FedEx just brought me a Christmas present for the race car. Whoop, whoop. This is the gauges. I'm really excited to see this. Bolt. Oh yeah, Leonard's three-legged dog, Ruger. He's missing a tripod. He's missing a left front leg.
The best friend.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, race car. That came pretty quick, actually. That's cool.
Yeah, looks good.
Yeah, see,
There's a protective foil over it.
yeah, and the gauges will flash red, I guess, if it's, you know, getting close to the warning. So that's pretty sweet.
Race.
Yeah.
It needs to be documented.
Been going through my stockpiles and finding stuff that works. So I found a pulley that will work perfect for the water pump and the alternator and the power steering pump. So it just kind of been getting lucky on finding things that will work and make the whole thing rotate and do its deal. Put them on the pump first.
Yeah, I tried, but this.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can find the hole like that.
Just put some hair around it, Leonard. Morning. It's another day. It is a good day. Last night I stayed up a little bit late and I got a few things done. I mean, my gauges showed up. So I had to see the gauges in the car, and I had to sit in the non-seat and see what it would be like looking through the steering wheel, which it's not on there right now, but it was on there last night. But you can picture myself sitting right here and then turning the steering wheel going, yeah, race car. But check it out. That looks cool. I can't wait to see it with the wood grain. Although I still need to mount, found it, the master disconnect switch. So this needs to get mounted out in the obvious, out in the open, which I'm probably going to put it right there. I was going to put it in the dash, but the only open space I can't reach. It has to be obvious for the safety crew to see it. So if I figure if I mount it right there, anyone that pokes their head inside this car will see that and be able to disconnect it in case I'm just unconscious. Yep, that's where the master switch would be, except the one I had was junk. It had no continuity flowing through it, so I had to order another one. But when that one shows up, then I will actually have a big red toggle I can switch over to power this beast up. So even if the thing had power and it was running, it ain't gonna go nowhere without a throttle pedal. Now, it has the original pedal assembly in it still, which actually bolts to the floor right here. But I don't know. It works off cable driven, and I don't think cable's allowed, nor do I think you really want to use it. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to incorporate pieces of this. This is a pedal. This is a circle track. This is actually just a race car pedal. I would use this whole thing, but the shaft in the middle is bent and it's bound up. Like where it's supposed to rotate with that greaser, it is bound up. It will not rotate. Look, see? El no rotato. So I'm gonna cut the pedal part off here, and I'm gonna cut the arm off here, so that way I have a solid linkage throttle assembly, and then I'll weld a little pull bar tab so I can actually pull the throttle back in case the throttle sticks wide open somehow. And that's one bad thing with cables, and that's probably why they're outlawed or not legal, is you can't pull the throttle back in case of an emergency situation. So I'm gonna try and take two and make one. So the final setup, pretty simple but effective. I went ahead and just cut the pedal part out of the new pedal, and I welded a bolt. I cut the extension piece off where the roller wheel went that met the rubber throttle pedal. Cut that off, welded a bolt there, so now I can actually have some placement side to side, right or left, on where I want the throttle pedal to sit. And then I went ahead, and this is a stopper, so that way when it's in the car, this thing won't just, you know, flop around. So that's my stopper right there. And then I went ahead and cut the throttle linkage part off of the new pedal too, and then just went ahead and welded it to the OEM pedal. So this thing should work pretty good. I'm gonna bolt it in the car and see what it does. Idle, wide open. It's gonna be another late night, especially with only 9 days left in this build, and the car still looks like this. Nine days. So right now I am working on the lower control arms. Virgil did have the hindsight to reinforce the lower control arms, but I'm gonna go ahead and put my gusset plates on it. They're a little bit better than this. I will shows you. I'm gonna go ahead and fully weld this plate on there. Actually goes like so. And I'm gonna fully weld that all the way around. But in order to do that, I've got to cut the old one off. it's bedtime. A lot has happened today, and the last week a lot has happened. Oh, hey, Bolt. He's like, hey, what's up, guys? I want my TV time. No, don't jump in. No, Bolty. This is, oh, there's not even a driver's seat. There's no passenger seat yet. Stay out. He's like, yeah, but I want my time. All right, guys. Well, a lot of work has got done to this thing this week. I mean, look, we've got a complete dash with our switches, our gauge panel. The master switch has a mount, but I just don't have a switch yet. So, but my whole pedal assembly is done. I have a functional clutch pedal, functional, semi-functional clutch pedal, semi-functional brake pedal, and semi-functional throttle pedal. The link, they're there, they're just not hooked up to anything, or there's no brake fluid, there's no clutch fluid, and there's no carburetor for the pedal to function. Man. Oh wait, another thing that's inside this car. Well, besides the steering wheel. Check it out. Functional window net. It's gonna go right there. Oh man, I mean, just imagine sitting in this thing and racing this guy. Let's put our steering wheel on it for the full effect. Got the full cockpit view. Going down the straightaway. Oh, I can already have fun with that. I can just envision it. Parts have been showing up, and I have been needing these parts before I can even really go any farther. So my bell housing has showed up. Another thing that has been done this week, all my accessories are on the engine. We changed the valve covers, got the accessories. I had to modify the timing cover to fit that water pump. All my wheels have showed up. I mean, check it out. Check out the bling. Pow! Look at that. The inertia Bassett wheels. These things are freaking cool. But not only that. Oh yeah. We got an axle in the car now. And check out all that beautiful tin work. Yeah, that looks cool. Got my weight jacks in there. Got the rear axle, the shock mounts. I mean, so much has been done this week, man. Got the control arms done. Oh, look, I was just at Dan's driveline. Had my front rotors turned. I tried to get it done at O'Reilly's, but they're like, oh, those rotors are way too rusty. And I'm like, seriously? No, they're not. They wouldn't touch them. So took them to my buddy's shop, lathed them up, goods to go. But it's cold. I'm going inside and I'm going to bed. And I will see you guys next episode for episode 5. Episode 5, this thing is probably going to be on the ground and rolling and maybe even running. Can't wait to see it. And I hope you guys do too. Well, if you guys have enjoyed this episode as much as I have on building my dream race car for actual competition, this isn't going to be no trailer queen. We're not going to take it to car shows and sit in lawn chairs in the grass and talk about how cool it is. No, we're going to race this sucker. That's what I want. And that's what it's going to do. The last race at Irwindale is what I'm shooting for. And I really, really hope I make it. I mean, I can kind of see light at the end of the tunnel. But, man, building a full-blown stock car like this in 30 days, whew, I don't think I want to do it again. Maybe 60 days. But if you guys really like this channel and you're digging what I'm building, go ahead and check out my Shopify store. That's it, yeah. I almost said Spotify. It's late. Give me a break. But I've got some, I would show you my t-shirt right now. I got really cool Junkerup t-shirts that are for this car. And all of you guys that have purchased a shirt already, thank you. I mean, it really helps towards this build. I've got a lot of money in this car, and with the t-shirt sales, it really helps get this car going. And so I really appreciate you guys. There's a little delay on the shirts. I guess I guess there's a bunch of really crappy weather up north, Midwest, whatever. Yeah, I'm delayed on a lot. I've been delayed on getting parts. And when he shipped me those shirts, I got boxes of shirts that haven't got here yet. So there's a little delay on shirts, but I'm going to try and get those out to you guys before the race. Just hopefully they're here in the next couple days. I mean, it's the weather. There's not really a whole lot I can do about it, but they will get here. But you know what I can do right now? I can leave you guys with more beauty shots. Wow.
Dog in that hell hot midday sun. Hands raw, back wet, working for a paycheck. Bus stop bags till the job gets done. Then Friday at 5, then the weekend comes alive, and it's windows down and radio. We live in big, we like it loud. Whiskey been held down, cousin kick the footlights out, headstrong, American proud, just like Hank taught us how. Yeah, we're just rebels with that redneck sound. Right, yeah. All this talk about what's country and what's not, got this old boy scratching his head. Cause it ain't worth the living if it ain't family tradition. Might as well settle down with all my rowdy friends. So don't hand me no lines, give me that homemade wine. Crank me up some rambling man. We live it big, we like it loud. Whiskey men held down, cousin kick the footlights out, headstrong, American proud, just like Hank taught us how.
You set my pinion angle, and I know that voice. Oh, you brought goodies!
I brought all kinds of Red Horse.
Oh, we brought all kinds of goodies. Yeah, but anyway, thanks for wasting my day. Now I got to get back to building a race car. Come on, Derek. Oh shit.
I am the smartest man alive.
Or at least within a 50-foot radius. No offense there. Ooh, guess what?
What?
Drive line, leaf spring purchase. Done. Can I cross anything off that you've done yet?
No.
Bolt something to this car. It just gets sexier and sexier. Of course, when Derek's not, in the view.